Stahlhart Papercraft.
Hello, I'm Chris from Stahlhart Papercraft. Today I want to introduce you to my Long March 5 model. Long March 5 is of course a Chinese rocket or launch vehicle, and it's the tallest and most powerful one. And of course Long March is named after the famous retreat of the People's Liberation Army, and yeah. And the Chinese name is actually Changzheng, that's why it's also called CZ5. Yeah, and this model is in 1 to 100. And there are certain things that you can do, is because you can actually, if there are two versions, so this one is the regular Long March 5, which actually has two stages, and then there's also another one which is the Long March 5B, which has only one stage. And there's one special feature of the model, which is you can actually remove the upper stage, and you can also remove the booster engines. Okay, so that's a very special feature, and yeah, then you have those different parts.
Okay, let's have a quick look at the instructions. So if you have seen any of my instructions before, you will notice there are some small changes. There's a new font type, and there are some changes in also here the numbers are more emphasized. Okay, so here you cut in, and then you will glue the fuselage together, and you will create formers. And this is a former which is needed for the docking. So this is to show you how the two docking parts go together. The formers for the two docking parts go together, and it's very important to pay attention to this location here and align it properly, because otherwise the docking ring will not align properly, and then it will be rolled. And you can see again, you have to make sure that this position is aligned correctly. And this is for the 5B. And then you add details and more details, many details. It's the ones which make it look plausible. And then the rocket engines and more formats, for this time for the boosters. And now again cut out, roll, and here we can see the two tips again, with one with cones and one with pedals, and more detail. And then the rocket engines once again, and then this is for the upper stage of the 5, and it's two different parts which are then together because one has a slightly larger diameter. And then this is for the 5B, which has different proportions of, as we have seen. And yeah, and then again for the tip you have two different versions, which is cones only and pedals. And then of course more details. The rocket engine for the upper stage, and then you have the assembly. So this one is where you don't glue, because you're just docking the docking ring, and then this one is where you glue, because there's just one body. Here we can see the two versions of the Long March together. On the left side we have the Long March 5, which is the original version, and this version has two stages, so that means the upper stage can be detached and has its own rocket engine. And then on the right side we see the Long March 5B, which is a little bit shorter because it only has one stage, but it has a higher payload. And now let's have a look at the model files for both of these. So this is the Long March 5, and you have some details here for this is inside the docking part, which needs to be to dock the first and second stage, and main body, the glue strip to glue the body together, details. Then here, page 2, we have the cones and the pedals tip and all those many small details. And then we have main body, and of course here this is the biggest part, which is almost as big as one A4, and then strakes, more details, the lower body. Then here, from here on, actually basically the 4 pages are pretty much the same, because every booster is of course the same. Here you have just the docking ring in one part of the docking ring, and you have the bottom of the main body. And then, as you can see, this is pretty much the same, is just a former here and the docking clamps instead, and one of the engines of the main body. And then once again, former and another engine, another docking clamp. And then the final page has just two formers. And yeah, so the main parts are of course always the same for the four boosters. Then the Long March 5B, as you can see, the model page, the first model page might slightly more empty because you don't have all those parts for the docking. Yeah, so this is a tip of the one part of the main body, the former, and then this is the whole upper body because there is no docking rings, and except for the typography and logos on it is actually basically the same. So you have CS5B on the boosters, but except that, of course, everything is pretty much the same. Okay, so let's have a look at some details. Actually, here the tip is already a little bit damaged. There's two versions actually for all those tips, which is one as pedals, which you can see here now. And if you don't like pedals, there's also an optional one. And then we can have a look at here. So here's some detail. They are thrusters and stuff. And then you can go down, and then here you have another. I have no idea what these things are, but they are details which are part of this rocket technology, right? And then fins. And yeah, and let's take it up a little bit, and now we can have a look here at the engines. Okay, so here you can see the engines, and actually I had to do, there was no pictures of how this engine looks from inside, so I actually used the inside of Saturn V to come up with the style for it. So as you saw earlier already, actually you can keep it and take it apart. So you could actually have the booster rockets removable. So I will just remove them now, you see? You can remove them. And yeah, so I can remove each of them. And yeah, then this would be just after the launch. So the booster rockets have dropped off. And actually, it's a little bit troublesome because I didn't figure out a good way how they can be attached and reattached, and I tried a number of different things. So that's something that you may want to be aware of, that if you want to have them removable, if you can think of a good way to have them that they can be attached and unattached without difficulties and without constantly falling off. So if you can figure out a good way to do that, I would be very happy if you would share, either to send me an email or to share in the comments of this video. So they are the booster rockets, right? So let's have them aside. And then this is actually the main body, right? So the main body. And then you can see that the holes for the booster rockets. And then here there is actually, I made, that's another thing, I tried many things, how to do it the right way. And the only good way I could figure out to do it was to use this kind of clamp. So we actually rotate the upper stage a little bit, and then you can pull it off. And then this would be the engine of the upper stage. And as you can see here, there are these slits where you cut in, and this is doubled up with hard cardstock. And then here on the lower stage you have these clamps, and yeah, and they work well enough, but they are a little bit fragile, so it might be a good idea to put something inside, maybe glue, maybe duct tape or something to make them stronger. Yeah, yeah, but the whole docking system works. It works enough, but it's a little bit fragile, so yeah, it's not good to constantly take it on and off again. And so this is the inside of the lower stage, the top of the lower stage. And of course that's not how it looks like, but actually this is pretty much based on how it really looks like. And then this ring, I have added it because I needed to have some place to stow the engine for the upper stage. Yeah, and then here's the engines of the lower stage. And yeah, and here are the locations where you actually put on the two-star rockets. Yeah, so that's all, and actually it's a really nice model, and looks really impressive as a display. And yeah, another thing worth showing is actually this stand for the Long March 5. And at some point during the development, I actually considered doing the launch pad as well of Long March 5, but it's supposed to be very big, and then I would end up, creating the model of a launch pad along with the rocket rather than the rocket with its launch pad. And so that would have been too much. So I wanted to design the rocket, not the launch pad. So I actually decided to go for a more simple stand, which is still slightly inspired by the actual launch pad. And as you can see here, there are the positions where you put in the rocket, right? And of course, because you have the two engines in the bottom, so it's always important to have the engine like in the right direction, so it will fit in here. And another thing that is would be good that if you build it, to put something inside to make it a little bit heavy, so it will stand more stable. So I actually filled this with a lot of heavy cardboard. So this is actually very, very hard now, and it can provide a stable stand for the model. So this is the Long March 5 model, and if you like it and you want to build it, you can go to my website and you can download for free. You don't have to register or anything, you can just download for free, print and get started. And well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Until next time, thanks for watching.